The views and opinions
and otherwise wisecrack remarks
in this podcast
are solely those
of our highly caffeinated hosts.
They do not represent the opinions
of Fairchild Air Force Base leadership,
the 92nd Public Affairs Office,
or the United States Air Force.
Any reference to commercial products, companies, or services does not imply federal endorsement.
You've been warned. Welcome to The Boom!
The Boom!
Fairchild's weekly podcast talking about the latest Air Force headlines, Fairchild news, and whatever else pops into our heads. Now coming to you downloaded and digitized, we are your hosts. I'm Staff Sergeant DJ Ayres.
And I'm Tech Sergeant Brian Bender. That's right, Episode 3, Revenge of the Boom. We're back for another round.
And we're still not knocked out. That's awesome.
That's pretty good for us. In fact, the commander actually came by the other day and has our full-fledged, is that how we would say full-fledged approval?
We have his full-fledged approval.
That would be how he said it. So yes, anyways, thumbs up from the commander. Of course, he did admit he hadn't listened to an episode yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
We're still kind of underground, I guess. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who might actually want to hear us, or even if they don't want to hear us, force them to.
You know, the great thing about a podcast like this is download it, and for those of you who live out in the valley, heck, some of you people live out in Liberty Lake, that drive into Fairchild, listen to the podcasts.
I mean, we try to keep it around 30 minutes, and I mean, most of our drives, if you're not living on base or right outside the base, that's about your drive, so definitely give it a shot.
Give us a ring, give us an email, let us know what you would like to hear. Again, we're just kind of going off the cuff here with what we know that's going around the Air Force, with what's going around Fairchild. But if there's things that you want to hear about, topics that you would like us to discuss so that you could further discuss, drop us a line and we'll give you a shout out. So for those of you who are still sticking around, it shows you really care and it means a lot to us.
And I can't deny the fact that you like me. Right now, you like me.
So, upcoming topics. I don't know about you, but I'm always conflicted here. I mean, I feel teasing what's coming up next kind of, sets the audience up of, these are topics I don't want to listen to, so they don't listen.
But it could have the opposite effect.
Or they could keep you, intriguing. I will hang around for that, sir. So, you know what? We could do codes and acronyms. We're so used to that in the military.
The former VP will be here on Friday. I expect every minute of the VP's PC to be taped and broadcast within 12 hours of his arrival. Something funny, Garlic. Perhaps you'd like to share it with the rest of us.
No, sir. The former vice president is a delight, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Seeing as how the VP is such a VIP, shouldn't we keep the PC on the QT? Because if it leaks to the VC, you can end up an MIA, and then we'd all be put on KP.
So in today's episode, EPRs and SCODs, or SCODs, as I like to call them. Also, a POV snafu. And snafu, even though we're not on the air, I cannot exactly spell out everything that means.
Situation normally all fouled up.
Good catch. So, let's move right along. Gentlemen, start your engines! So as a tech sergeant, I now have 2 months before my next EPR is due. And I just had one close out in May. This is the new way the Air Force is doing things. It's called the Static Closeout Date, or the SCOD.
I hope you were doing good in that last 5 or so months.
I know, I've got a lot to pack in between May and
November. You didn't take
November.
any leave or anything.
Summer months are generally busy, but here's the thing. I already have all my education and training. Like, I have my CCAF. I have 2 degrees, so it's like I'm pushing up my glasses right now. But it's like, what more can I put in the training block?
You should be a doctor.
I wish I could. Dr. Bender. Dr. Mindbender from Cobra.
G.I.
Joe. Hey. So we've been complaining about it for years in the Air Force. Our inflated EPRs and WAP system. So the Air Force has done some tweaking, and they've come up with a new idea. And obviously, new idea and change. Sometimes we don't like change, even though we're begging for it.
And there's always birth pains that come with something new.
Yeah, birth pains. So instead of the usual 9 months of birthing pains, the Air Force is going to take 18 months to get in line with something that they hope works.
That's like a short tour.
It is a short tour. This is going to be a short tour that's a very bumpy road. So with my SCOD of November 31st, I only have 6 months of activities for my EPR, which my last one closed out in May, where some people, some other techs, could have nearly 14 months of activity to choose from. So personally, I think I've got quite the hurdle to overcome, especially when testing for Master this first time and this new system. I basically feel like a guinea pig.
I think you should go volunteer at the fire department and save kittens from trees.
I'm going to start pushing old people into traffic just to save them again. You know, it's kind of like maybe like that movie Backdraft. I'll set the fires just so we can go out and fight the fires.
Oh, I totally forgot about that movie. That's the one with Kurt Russell, right?
You go, we go. Yes, great movie, by the way. One of Ron Howard's first movies, I believe, to be directing.
Opie can direct.
Opie can direct movies. He's done pretty well. What was the last Ron Howard movie, though?
I don't know. Apollo 13?
That's the last one I can remember. Anyways.
I'd have to check it on IMDb.
IMDb. It's
another
my
acronym.
Yeah.
Internet Movie Database.
So anyways, back on track here. So I'm a guinea pig as a tech sergeant doing this new SCOD. And the funny thing is, our orderly rooms want them like 30 days before the closeout, which means our supervisors want them 2 weeks before the 30 days. So basically, it's like 2 months before my static closeout date, I have to have an EPR ready, which means I've got 2 months of activities and stuff that I've yet to do to put in my EPR.
And I hear they're going by the old EPR, not the ACA, the new rating system for this one.
That's what I've been told. But at the same time now, even though we're using the old EPR system, they're wanting us to incorporate the new ideology of stratification. So not all of us can be 5s anymore. Firewall 5s are pretty much a thing of the past with this new system. And so aside from the techs having a SCOD at the end of November, staffs like you, Ayres, will be having their SCOD at the end of January.
Good times.
Which for you guys is kind of interesting then, because you will have to have your EPRs due around like December-ish. But for you, it works out because there's all those holiday seasons in there. It's not like you can get anything done.
Yeah, well, most people take leave during the holidays, or they take it during the summer, or, you get involved and there's just not as much going on. So it makes getting those prime bullets a little more difficult.
So I read that when they talked about this again at the Air and Space Conference in D.C. earlier this month, everyone pretty much raised their hand when they were asked about, do they acknowledge inflation in the old EPR system? Do they see it as a problem? And everyone raised their hand. Yes, we all know it's been a problem. But then they were asked by the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force if they'd be willing to take a 3 or a 4 on these new next upcoming EPRs, and pretty much everyone put their hand down. Like, yes, there's a problem, but I don't want to do anything to fix it because I like the status quo.
This may be just me, but I think maybe if they change the way the point system works towards promotion, maybe not such a huge gap between the different numbers. You know what I mean?
Well, and from what I've heard, and I'd have to do more research on it, it's all confusing to me. And sometimes, even my higher-ups don't know all the answers, which I tell you, it does a lot for my confidence. From my understanding, the EPRs, how in the old WAP system they used to account for points, now they're not going to count for points as much. Now there's going to be the stratification, so everyone in your squadron, you can only hand out so many 5s. So we're going to see a lot more average airmen, which is, most of us are average, but average airmen are probably stellar Americans. So not everyone is going to be 4s, and not very many will be 5s. And then as for me, testing for Master Sergeant, I hear there's a board. Now, I don't know if that's actually a physical board. I've got to go sit down in front of people in my dress blues and answer questions, or if it's a board where they look over my past EPRs, my feedbacks, whatever, and determine, hey, this is a guy that we should promote right away. And if not, I can slip a 20 in there, paper clip to my EPRs. I'm just saying.
Well, and you're going to be compared against people that aren't necessarily doing your job either, though. For us, as public affairs members, we're lumped in with wings staff.
You guys just post to Facebook, right? Take pictures?
Yeah, so not everybody understands what everybody does, and that's always been an issue for us in public affairs, but I'm sure that's going to become a problem become not necessarily a problem, but something to think about when you're compared against everybody, say, in the base, you know?
So, yeah, end all be all, I can see what the Air Force is trying to do, and it's going to be a bumpy road, but it's been about 20 years or so of a bad process, so hold on tight, people. And for more information, if you just don't know the answer and the people you're working with don't know the answer, you can check out all the info on MyPERS.
Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude?
That is the question on many service members' mind. Where is my car?
Love that movie, by the way. Dude, where's your car? Where's your car, dude? Where's my car? Dude, where's your car?
When moving overseas or back to the States from overseas, thousands of service members rely on a private company to ship their cars. For 18 years or so, it had been the American Auto Logistics. This summer, the $305 million contract went to International Auto Logistics.
Wait, so we've gone from American Auto Logistics to International Auto Logistics.
So they won't lose your stuff, right?
Real original. It's the AAL turns into the IAL, and you are SOL because we've lost your POV.
As of mid-September, 34,000 POVs have been turned over to the IAL since May 1st, with only half of the cars being delivered on time, or at all.
Maybe they should check Korea or Mexico or Yugoslavia.
That's a huge problem. So big, in fact, that General Selva, U.S. Transcom chief, has created the POV Fusion Cell.
Kind of sounds like Mr. Fusion from Back to the Future. Just throw some garbage into it.
This special team conducts on-site visits with the various drop-offs to ensure accurate vehicle transfer data.
So basically, they're just showing up at the sites and saying, hey, you've got car A, and I see car A being loaded onto the dock and onto the ship. And then they tell the person at port B that, hey, car A is coming. This just sounds like something the IAL should have been doing anyways. And now we're having to get government involved in it again.
And I have a problem sometimes tracking a package. For UPS. I can imagine your vehicle, not knowing where your vehicle is, be like, oh, let me check online. Oh, we don't know where your vehicle is.
Now, I've never been overseas, but to me, this particular case, and in general, it sounds like shipping a POV overseas, either to your overseas location or back here to the States, is such a big hassle that I would either, one, sell my car that I have here in the States and then use that cash when I get overseas to buy a new car, and then when it's time to come back, sell that car overseas and have the cash when I come back to the States.
Well, I've been overseas twice already. When I got to Germany, I didn't have a vehicle, and I bought a car while I was there, and then I shipped it to California. The inspection process can be kind of a pain in the butt, but it wasn't that bad. It's more the waiting around that kind of sucks.
But there is some silver lining to this whole snafu, isn't there?
Under the new contract, if a vehicle is lost or destroyed, wow.
What is the shipping company doing that they're going to destroy your vehicle?
What happens if you're that guy that ships his 69 Shelby? What? I maybe wouldn't ship his Shelby.
I don't think I would even try and take that overseas.
But what if you really love your car? What if you put a lot of love and a lot of work into it? Maybe it's one of those custom cars.
It's got some memories in it, let me tell you.
And it falls off a ship. I'm sorry. Your vehicle's at the bottom of the Atlantic. My bad.
But like we said, if that happens...
Oh, yeah, the service member will be compensated based on the misplaced vehicle's National Automobile Dealer Association listing. So let's just hope that 69 Shelby that you put all your love into is worth what they're willing to pay you. But when it comes to working on cars, you never get what you put into it. And then, people love their cars.
And then...
Speaking of money, not necessarily money in your pocket, but the Air Force is hoping that you can help put money back into their pockets through saving energy. It's called the power nap. And by power nap, I don't mean, 15, 20 minutes, just close your eyes at your desk.
We can do that?
European countries do the siestas, from what I hear. You go to Italy, and in the middle of the afternoon, just everything closes. And they're still just as productive and live happy, fulfilled lives. So I could see an actual nap in the middle of the day, something that could boost productivity.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's France that's actually looking for, the 30-hour work week, or they're pushing for even less work and more vacation time.
I don't think anything could get done in America with a 30-hour work week.
Get more naps in.
We could get more. We'd be a healthier, more restful nation. So anyways.
We would just be in more debt than we already are.
So bringing it back to the power nap, what am I talking about? Well, get this figure, $2.1 million. That's the amount spent to purchase electricity to power Fairchild last year. So it's quite a big number. I mean, I would hate to see that type of electric bill. I don't know. The commander is just probably dreading the day when the bill comes in the mail and he can see it's from a Vista and he's just like, somebody else open this. I can't look. I don't want to see it. So October is Energy Action Month across the federal government and the Air Force. Basically, with the power nap, we're encouraging airmen to save energy while performing the mission. Again, this isn't conserving your personal energy. Don't, walk out onto the flight line and slowly, take the chocks off and just nonchalantly, slowly taxi the tanker out there. This is saving energy, electrical energy.
They don't move that fast anyway.
But don't move even slower, Don't be dragging your feet now. So to reduce energy usage, this whole month of October, we are going to be taking power naps. Daily throughout the month of October, between 1,300 and 1,600, you're encouraged to take part, whether at home or at work, and reducing the amount of energy that we use at Fairchild.
So is that energy total, that's for base housing and stuff too then, right?
Yes, it includes everything every building, every unit that's on Fairchild. $2.1 million was spent on energy alone, on electricity alone last year.
So turn off your lava lamp when you're not using it.
And according to studies, apparently just, reducing the amount of energy by just 3% could save us roughly $64,000 a year. 3%, that's tiny.
They should have did this in the summer, though, because then you could everybody just turn for those of us that have windows, you could just, everyone turn off the lights and just use the illumination from either outside or your computer monitors. I mean, because we had a lot of sunshine. Well, now going into the fall and winter months, we're not having as much sunshine.
Well, and that is actually one of the tips. Keep doors and windows closed when you're running air conditioning. Also, wash and dry laundry in the morning or the evening hours. Make sure outside lights are turned off during the day. Now, I live in base housing. Most of our outdoor lighting has a light-sensitive chip in it. So if it's daylight, the lights turn off. When it gets darker, they come on. And actually, even here in the new headquarters, a lot of the lights are motion-censored lights, and they will turn off in your rooms when no one is in there. Or when you're sitting really still at your computer, typing away, all of a sudden the lights go off on you.
And you gotta cast a spell with your arm to come back on.
Hello, I'm still here. Please don't leave me in the dark.
It's like when you go to the airport bathroom and you're waving underneath the faucet, you're gonna work for me now? You're gonna work for me now? All right. Or they mix you up and they do it where you have one that's automated and one that's manual. So you're waving your hand under the soap wondering why it doesn't work.
I have done that. I've been that idiot just in the bathroom just waving my hand going, hello soap, where are you? Also, there's these smart strips out there now. They have the green and the red and the blue color coding on them. I'm still not entirely sure how they work. One of the plugs is the command plug. So whatever's plugged into that, if that goes off, it turns off the other subsequent plugs on that strip. So that way you don't have to remember to turn off your desk lamp or your speakers. If you turn off your computer, it shuts down everything electrical on your desk.
Huh.
But I'm still trying to figure out the color codes and figure out what I should plug into there, because if something goes to sleep, it kind of starts to turn the power off of the other things on my desk. But speaking of turning things off on your desk, some of us have the dual monitors. So they're saying, hey, between 1,300 and 1,600, turn one of your monitors off and just work from one screen monitor.
So we're going to see productivity go down. But energy savings go up, right?
It's just for a month. So whatever we can do to save money for the month.
I think you can do it. I mean, not all of us have dual monitors. We're not that fortunate.
Here's another tip that I like. It says take a break from the office and get out and get quality FaceTime with your airmen. And remember that when you're leaving the office, shut off your computer monitors and shut off your lights. Now, we're not supposed to shut off the actual CPUs because Comm Squadron, IT people, they push updates in the middle of the night. So if your computer is turned off, you're not going to get some security updates and things are going to go screwy.
Yeah, don't do that.
Take some of these tips with you, apply them at home. I know I'm always following my kids around, turning off the lights in their rooms, in the bathrooms. I feel like that's my job at the house, is the light switch monitor.
You trying to light up the whole neighborhood?
Well, and I think that, that should be the next thing is, maybe the housing areas should think of putting in motion sensor things as well.
Well, actually, the temperatures in the evenings are pretty cool, so you may not even have to run your air conditioner. Maybe you just turn it up a little bit so it doesn't have to kick on.
I like the new fresh fall crisp air. So yeah, I'll get home and open the windows of my house because it gets kind of stuffy when we're not there. But when I do leave the house in the morning, I turn it down to 68. So not cooling. I turn the heating down to 68.
Oh,
so
I was about to say, like, that's
no.
pretty cold.
If it gets any colder than 68, then the heat will turn on. And now, something completely different. But speaking about fall in Spokane, beautiful time of the year. Leaves are starting to change, and it was funny, the leaves have changed in a matter of a week. I could remember last week I thought everything was green, and now they're falling all over the place, and the wind is blowing them around, and that I kind of like because then I can just say, not have to rake my yard. I hate raking. But with fall in Spokane, there are a ton of things to do to get out, to enjoy time with your family.
Have you ever been out to the Apple Festival in Green Bluff?
I have been out to Green Bluff, not during the Apple Festival itself. Green Bluff, if you don't know, is just north of Spokane. If you were to head north on Division to the Y where it splits, and I believe it's the right part of the Y, and you keep going, you'll see signs for Green Bluff. You can Google Green Bluff, but it is basically this huge area full of various farms and apple orchards and pumpkin patches.
You got Thanksgiving not too far around the corner either, so you got apple pies. I mean, we're in Washington, the home of the Washington apple.
Also this weekend, October 4th, Saturday, the Spokane Renaissance Fair.
Behind me, Nave!
All I can think about is if it were as cool as A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
I think it'll be just as cool as Role Models with the LARPing.
Oh, the LARPing. It's called the Lance. Hello. So if you want a big old turkey leg and chug down some grog, jousting, and sword fights.
Mead? Is that the other thing?
Mead. Ah, yes. Instead of beer, it's mead.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
But don't forget, all around us, usually on every Saturday, even some Sundays, there are a multitude of farmers markets. So go out there and get those apples, get some fresh veggies in you, some fresh fruits, some local product like local honey. If you've got allergies for the Spokane area, you get some raw local honey, and that's like a natural cure, basically.
And I guess, I don't exactly know how that works, but I've heard that.
Yeah, I think it's just because when the bees get the pollen and then the little bits of pollen are in the honey and you ingest it, you kind of work up an immunity to it. Also big in the eastern Washington area, huckleberry.
Oh, man. If you haven't had huckleberries, you're letting the best in life pass you by. And there's lots of places that make them from getting them fresh to shakes to put them on your pancakes.
I like a nice iced huckleberry mocha myself. It's coffee.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously, because it is October, we mentioned this, today, Friday the 3rd, at the Red Morgan Center, Oktoberfest. 1500 to, I believe, 1830, and you can, indulge. You can definitely indulge in the various German feasts as well as some beer. Also, Saturday, tomorrow, October 4th, it's the second annual Spokane Zombie Crawl.
Zombie Crawl?
Sounds like fun getting to dress up like zombies, and I don't know if it's the same as a pub crawl, and I don't actually think you literally have to crawl, but if you want some more information, SpokaneZombieCrawl.com. So, a lot of activities to do while you're here at Fairchild. Don't just think, oh, I'm in the Northwest. I'm not in Seattle. I'm in some other place in Washington.
And if you've been to Seattle, you'll know it rains a great deal there, and we don't get that here, fortunately. But you will get the snow, and we're definitely going to get some of that here soon.
So that about wraps it up for this edition of The Boom. But before we go, we want to try our hand at something called our Top 10 list. So here's Top 10 Craziest EPR Bullets.
Number 10, financially supports National Youth Leadership Organization. Sounds good, right?
Sounds awesome.
Except he's doing it by buying Girl Scout cookies.
He's also contributing to unit morale. All right. Number 9, Oxygen Thief. Reports to shift and waste everyone's air. Useful like an ashtray on a motorcycle.
Number 8, volunteer test subject for alcohol awareness training. Substantiated security forces observance reaction process.
That's what we also call a DUI, people. Number 7, dedicated airman. Kept unborn child in womb 2 weeks longer. Gave staff ample time to locate replacement.
Now that's what I call dedication. Number 6, bought American vehicle. Supported American economy like a rock.
Number 5, this NCO would be out of his depth in a puddle.
We've all met that NCO.
Don't be that guy.
Number 4, his subordinates would follow him anywhere, but only out of morbid curiosity.
I've known a couple of those as well. Number 3, hit rock bottom and used pneumatic drill to go farther.
Number 2, provided top-notch entertainment at Squadron Picnic. Danced like an inebriated star for 2 consecutive songs. Suggest AA classes.
And number 1, this NCO should go far. And the sooner, the better. Well, that's it for this edition of The Boom. Come back and join us next week when I'll be flying solo, as Sergeant Ayres will be TDY getting some extra training.
Extra training? That sounds bad.
Additional training.
I'm going to a videographer course at Fort Meade, Maryland, where our tech school is at. Extra training, it sounds like I'm going to get punishment.
He'll come back all high speed. So anyways, as always, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, and we'll catch you next time on The Boom!